Welcome back to Oshinoko Reactions. This is Season 2, Episode 2. Last week was a great opening to the season. Really, really good. We've started practicing for the play. We've got some pretty solid actors and some niches or little, groups, niches. What's the... cliques. Cliques being created within the cast. I'm just looking down at my notes because what's the name of the dude? Himekawa as well. Himekawa, the main actor dude. Him and Kana having that really cool, in the times that I've rewatched the episode in the past week, that Himekawa Kana scene is so good, where they're both acting back and forth and their talent is splashing across the other actors. It's so much, and Kana's drawing some attention this time, while Akane is struggling with her character and feeling like she can't get a good grasp of it because it's not the same character that she's really fell in love with in the manga, and so she's trying to figure out how she can do it right, and if it matters to her. And then it ended with the mangaka of Tokyo Blade coming up to everyone and going, hey, I'm gonna change fucking everything. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. As I said, I should know how it plays out, but I really don't remember. So we're jumping into it. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for the full-length reaction, as well as early access and exclusive videos for both this channel and my Gent Watches One Piece channel. So go check that out as well. But let's jump into this episode 2 of season 2 of Oshinoko. She's gonna whip everyone into shape, tell them they're all shit. Oh no, that the whole play is shit. I guess she would probably just whip the writer into shape. Here we go. Oh, why are we going back? Whoa, why are we going back? Day of the preliminary meeting. Okay, that's a cool way to tell the story non-linearly by actually turning back the clock. Oh yeah, didn't Akane say that they turned up to the meeting together? Aww. She gave you, by the look of it, a very legitimate smile. Maybe that sweat says otherwise. Yeah, the sweat does say otherwise. He's taking it seriously now. Aw, that's really good, man. I'm proud of you. Raida. Kin-chan. Kindaichi, right. I'm only writing down some of these names because there's a lot of names. Cool. Look at that girl's eyes. She looks like Firefly from Honkai Star Rail. Come on, you two. Immediately. And here's Himekawa. What? Oh, okay. I thought that was gonna be way more aggressive. Well, we already know he's a great actor. Okay. I don't need to get introduced to my girlfriend. Yeah, you're in your element. Classic. I miss hearing Kana's voice actress do all this stuff. She's got such a unique voice. Damn, look at that panel. I know she's saying that out of jealousy, but I agree with that. I don't think you should tie those things together. Yeah, you're getting to know actual her.
そんな気を使わなくてよ。俺だって自分のためさに
Aww, he really didn't mean to ruin that production.
言い訳だな。忘れてくれ。演技で見返すよ。
No, it's actually very sweet. I like it.
それどころか私なんてとっくに追い抜いて
She's done very well for
漫
herself.
画もアニメも漫画家が直々に
I
飲み
mean,
に
if
誘ってくれ
if
たんだもん
Tokyo Blade is like the demon
それ
slayer
く
of
れっ
this
てものでしょ
world,
それで
then that would be
そうだっ
huge.
け私に何かできるってわけじゃないけど
She just wants you there for the confidence.
よかったありがと
That
う
makes sense why she was there then. I did think it was a little strange that she was coming to a thing that had nothing to do with her.
変人揃いの漫画業界の中でもアビコ先生はなかなか癖が強い方ってやられがちなのは事実としてあるものの
Yeah.
原作者がなんて話もそこら中で耳にす
Yeah,
る
I was just about to say
だか
that.
らある程度の押し引きが必要な
The
わけ
creator
で
can't do too much
その点
because you might
ア
screw
ビ
it
コ
up.
先生は
Oh my god, double brushing?
ダブル歯磨きです。ブラシ2つ使えば2倍の速度で磨けるじゃないですか。
That's crazy.
また倍速でやってます。
See, when she did the I'm gonna go brush my teeth thing and she called her a weirdo, I was like, it's not that weird. But that is weird.
もうこの脚本で OK いただいて稽古にも入ってるんです。
Aw, the writer.
あと20日ですし。
Probably tried very hard.
実際動いているところを見れば、この脚本でいいのがわかるっていうから、よくないから、OK じゃないですよ。
まず謝らせてください。
I like this writer.
今からでも直せるところは直すつもりです。
I think he's serious about
しか
this.
しですね。どう直せば良いのでしょう。
あなたがこの脚本書いた人
Oh, don't be mean to him. He's
修
trying.
正したいところは事前にお伝えしたはずですけど。
原作の魅力を引き出すための脚本を。
読んだ上でこれなんですか？
Aww.
あなたが挙げてこんなことしないってのばっかり。別に
I have things I want to talk about for this episode.
でもうちの子たちはこんなバカじゃないんですけど。
My babies, yeah.
それは演劇というメディアの性質上。
That's what's at the heart of it. She feels like they're her characters.
この人ちょっと創作者としてのセンスが。
Yes. Good job jumping in there. This is gonna be tricky.
メディアミックスアビコ先生はロジックに頼らないセンス型なのでその意図は編集
Yeah.
者にも汲み取れない
That's
可能性がある
that's a big part of it as well.
ここが
ことになると突然多弁になるからな整理して文章化するの残った感じの文章そのまま
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting.
どうにか
この修正だと新規セットが必要になるから。
So yeah, they change it up a little bit each time, and eventually it's completely different.
じゃあここ足すか。もっとセリフ
See, yeah, it's not. It's not his fault. He's genuinely trying a lot.
だってる脚本家才能なくない？
Aww.
互いがベストを尽くそうとする中で発生する齟齬やそれをうまく翻訳できない
This is so great and interesting. It's a really good look into the industry.
今日もどこかで揉めているのだ強い抗議の意味も含まれているのだろう
Yeah, she's frustrated
正
now.
直この脚本家の聡明さが消えてバカな女にしか見え
Oh,
ない。
I'm rooting for the scriptwriter now.
終戦
I
も
hope
外れエンタメを理解してると
I
思え
hope he
ない
can make something really good.
編集部的にもあれでしょう。
いやもう本当に
She also might not know how to
絶対に
write
やります
a stage
じゃなきゃ
play.
掘り下げます。
Oh shit. Like, do you know about the format of a play and how it should be written?
私ギャラいらないんで。名義もそのままで。脚本
No.
家さんには普通にギャラ払ってください。
Kind of really frustrating for him though.
関わらなくていいです。
I feel so bad for him.
仕方ないよ。脚本家の地位って君たちが思っているより
True.
簡単に首をすげ替えられる。
It really does. You hear about it all the time. Writers being replaced.
いいものを
Pretty
作ろうと真面目に
quickly.
やっても面白かったら全部原作の手柄。
That's so
ね
true.
じ込まれて大手事務所にはクレジットからは僕の名前消してもらいます。
Yeah, he doesn't want that credit.
僕にもプライド
Yeah,
が
it's
あるので。
pretty shameful.
どうか今回は事故にあったと思ってどうか
Aw.
飲んでくれない
This
かな。
poor guy as well, who's having to handle all this shit and be a mediator.
クレジットはままで構いません。 今度飯をおごってくださいよ。
That's very
ほん
fair.
と申し訳ない。なんでも好きなだけ食ってくれ。
I love these characters.
創作者としてのセンスが。
Damn. This poor guy.
そういや、そのステージアラウンドって何？
知らないで稽古してたの？
They're so
イ
shocked.
メージできなくない？
劇のステージなんてほとんど同じだろ。
No, the stage they're on is huge and has screens
舞
and
台そんなに好き
has
じゃないでしょ。
depth.
入れ替えてテンポ悪いし、可動式のセットは安っぽい。
Oh, on bad
一人の
plays,
大げさな
yeah.
演技に映像の方を見るのがいい。
大体想像通りの答えだね。
Oh, she's gonna teach him a thing or two about theater.
確か
about
にそれ
good theater.
は長年ステアラで舞台見たことないんだ。
They're gonna go on a date to watch one together? Get your bag.
せっ
We're
かく時間
going.
できたんだからちょっと
It is a
ですよ。
date. Cute. Game of telephone. Oh, that's the end of the episode. Just an amazing episode. You know what's really exciting for me? Like, okay, if you didn't watch last video or any of my reactions to season 1, as context, I've read the manga of Oshinoko kind of like closer to when it came out. So, that was a little while ago. And I don't remember the main plot points of it, right? I don't remember. So like with this season, I remember this arc was one of my favorites in the manga, but I don't remember why. Because I don't remember what happens really in it. I remember like 1 or 2 panels from it, and I don't know how we get from point A to there. So I really don't know what's going to happen in this because it has been a long time, and I only read it once, but I know that I like it. But this is really great to watch because whenever I take in story in anime form, I take in the story way better. And also I tend to like rewatch anime episodes and stuff. So it feels like this is fresh to me. It feels like this is new. And I really don't know where we're going with this. I don't know, like, I have ways that I want it to go, but I don't know exactly how it's going to go. Let's talk about it because this series does so well with industry. Like the media industry, there is no show out there that understands the media industry more than this show does. I confidently believe that. I love the way that this show portrays the media industry and shows its problems in a realistic manner that both like criticizes the media industry but also forgives it for other things, you know? Like it shows the problems that are inherent in a lot of ways that media runs, but at the same time it also shows why some of those problems are present and also why it's kind of unavoidable for them to happen. So what we have here is something I find really interesting and something I think people do not give enough credit to, which is people are very quick to think that, like, you know, adaptations are like, I mean, this is less prevalent in the anime community because the anime is like 90% adaptations, and therefore there's a million good adaptations in anime from manga to anime. So luckily the anime community is pretty accepting of adaptations. But, you know, you take a step further and go like, what about the live action adaptations, you know? Like, look how much people were shitting on the One Piece live action before that came out because people have a bad taste in their mouth from live action adaptations. But now that the One Piece live action has come out, people love it. It's great because it is a great show. And like it, you know, it's a very different kind of show to the anime and to the manga, but it still like gets the heart of it right, and that's what it comes down to. But it's really interesting because people, I feel like, sometimes hate adaptations for the wrong reasons or don't try to understand like what actually went wrong and try to blame it on the wrong thing, you know? So the first thing, and this is something that they said in this episode that I think is really important to remember, is writers and creators and stuff, they're not trying to make a bad product. And that's important, you know? Sometimes, sure, I'm sure writers are like lazy and sometimes phone it in and stuff. But a lot of the time, if a writer feels like he or she or they can improve something, then they try to improve it. Because their pride is on the line, their job security is on the line. You know, if they're making shitty scripts, then then people aren't gonna want to hire them as much in the future. They're trying to make something good and successful. So that's the first important thing to remember. The second is what Goa said in this episode, which is the problem with doing like an adaptation like this is if it's shit, you are blamed. Like you are put on the chopping block. You know, fans will burn you at the stake. But if it's good, people praise the source material. So no matter what, you don't win. Other than the like money that you get from doing the project, but you get that either way, you know. Now obviously that's not 100% the case. Like people do tend to give Matt Owens from the One Piece live action. I'm using that as an example because it's like an adaptation that I know a decent amount about, and also that is like more recent and that people didn't believe in beforehand, but ended up really good, even though it's quite different. So people do give some credit to Matt Owens, but a lot of the time it's like when you get a live action or an adaptation right, it's like, yeah, look how good the source material is. Like that's how good this source material is, that it made a good adaptation, you know, that it transcended mediums very well. But if you make it shit, then the people go, you know, this fucking dude sucks, who wrote the adaptation or who directed it or whatever. So so that sucks as well. Now you have this really interesting discussion in this episode of like creator versus writer. Now Akibo, is that her name? Abiko, sorry. I mixed up the syllables there. Abiko, in this episode, she wants to, you know, she is looking at this play and is going, this is frustrating because these characters aren't acting like the characters that I created. And she described them in this episode as my babies. And I think that's what it comes down to. I'm speaking now from the perspective of a writer. If you don't know, I have a degree in writing, and I have written, you know, lots of stuff before, mostly like for myself, but some stuff, you know, some stuff I put out there. Nothing big or anything, nothing major, but you know, I've done a lot of writing in my life for different reasons. Sometimes I've done like freelance writing for YouTube channels or for, you know, some advertisement stuff or whatever. But the point is, when you are a writer, you write characters, and when you write those characters, you write them in a certain way because you really like it. Generally, you will write these types of characters that you like. And you might like them because they're so evil, or you might like them because they're despicable, or you might like them because they're frustrating. Like, you might like them for negative reasons, but you still generally have an attachment to all of your characters, or to a lot of your characters, especially your main characters. And because of that, you get protective over them. Now, this also applies to D&D, and I think this is going to be a more relatable stance if people play like TTRPGs like D&D and other, you know, Pathfinder, other famous TTRPGs out there. If you play a TTRPG, you play a character, and you created that character from scratch. You created their backstory, you know what they look like, you know how they act, and you get to play them as well. And it's really great, and then you get super attached to them, and you know how they run. If you've ever played D&D and you get super into your character, and then if you've ever had to watch someone else play your character, like maybe, you know, someone was filling in for some reason, or maybe they do an impression of your character, or maybe the DM like runs something that your character did, like you do a second campaign and your DM is playing the character from the first campaign or something, you know, anything like that. It's really difficult because I think even if they do a good job, to you it's gonna feel off. It's gonna feel wrong because you instinctively kind of know how they respond to a situation, and those instincts are very slightly different in every single person. So even if you watch someone who's doing a good job, it's probably still gonna feel odd for you because you're like, but it's not quite how my character would react. You know, it's not quite there. Now, when I play D&D and that happens to me, I tend to be extremely forgiving of the person who is playing my character or who is saying something my character did or whatever. And I just kind of like, as long as it's not like egregious and really bad, I tend to go like, this is their creative liberty and I'm gonna let them, you know, let them do that for my character because it's not worth it. And because like as long as they get the main gist right, it's fine. But even though it's difficult, sometimes that's necessary for creativity, to allow someone to do something. Maybe it doesn't quite feel right for your interpretation of the character, but there's something called death of the author. If you don't know what death of the author is, it's a theory, like a media theory that's discussed a lot, which is the idea that once an artist creates something and puts it out into the world, they no longer own it necessarily. And we're not talking about in terms of legality, like obviously they probably still own the rights to it or whatever, but talking about in terms of the canon of the character and what that character does and such. Now you can obviously release more stories and have the characters do things that are canon and stuff, but people might have their own interpretations of how a character feels, how a character acts, or like the themes of a story. Like those are all things, like you wrote it with the intention of, okay, well the theme is about this or whatever, and then I'm sure you've seen people say like, oh, my headcanon is that like this story is a metaphor for being trans, let's say, you know, as an example. And then a lot of other people will go, well, no, it isn't. Obviously it's not, because why would the writer do that or whatever? And they'll be trying to pick holes in it. And maybe even the writer of the original thing is like, well, no, I definitely didn't have that in mind. But at that point, it kind of doesn't matter. If it applies to the media, if it fits, if the shoe fits, then it kind of is, you know, like even if you didn't intend for it to be a metaphor for trans people, if it fits with the media, then it's a metaphor for trans people. You as a writer kind of don't own how your media is interpreted. And so because of that, you don't really own the real themes of the media. So like in the same way, Goa has his own interpretations of these characters, and I don't think they're not valid. I mean, if you want to hear a good writer talking about this stuff, listen to interviews with Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are two of the greatest TV shows to ever be created, in my opinion. They are spectacular examples of character work and story, and it's you know, they are incredible shows. They are basically perfect to me, and have some of my favorite characters of all time. And Vince Gilligan is so good about being transparent about the writing process, and straight up says that, like when people ask him like, well, what would have Walter White have done in this situation? Or what would Jimmy McGill, like, if Jimmy McGill did this, what would happen? Or what was Jimmy McGill thinking in this moment? And Vince Gilligan, whenever he's asked questions like that, he always goes, okay, well, the real answer is, I don't know, and you might have your own version of what you think he is thinking in that moment. And these other writers that are in the writer's room, they have their own interpretations of what he's thinking in that moment. Here's what I think, but don't take my my interpretation as the truth of what that character is feeling. That's not the truth. There is no truth. The truth can be whatever you think. And I really love when he does that, because sometimes he also has like sort of disagreements with writers on the stage where they go like, oh, that's not how I interpreted the character. When we were writing that scene, here's how I thought he was interpreting it. And Vince Gilligan always goes, really? That's really interesting. Well, you know, either one could be right. And I love that. I think that's so, so great as a writer to do that. To not have this ego with your characters. So I'm not saying that Abiko in this episode is wrong. I don't think she's wrong to feel this way. It's a really difficult thing. And she also is, it seems like, you know, she's a bit more strange. She's a bit stranger. She's a bit more immature. I mean, like, quite literally. Like, she's seemingly is pretty new to this industry and kind of had like a hit manga that blew up. So this is kind of her first experience with it. So I understand it's very difficult for her to see her characters in this light. And she's probably right, it like from maybe a fan perspective, that like if fans saw this, maybe they would feel there's a bit of a disconnect. But then she takes it to an extreme, and now I don't know how it's gonna go if she does write this play. But my prediction, and again, I have read the manga of this, but I genuinely, fully, completely do not remember how this plays out. Here's my prediction based on what I know about writers in general. A writer of a manga is different from a writer of a play. And especially someone who writes a manga, who, like, mangas tend to be very singularly, like, I write kind of what I want to write. Obviously, editors have a say and they tend to tell you like, oh, you should put this into a chapter, or like, oh, you can't really do this or this. But those are different things than if you're doing a stage play. There's a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of set dressing involved, and there's a lot of costumes involved, and there's a time limit that you have to run by. And like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that she might not understand on a fundamental level. So I expect she's going to write a faithful but bad play script. And I mean bad as in it's not going to work for a stage play, and it's going to be difficult for the actors and the director and everyone because she doesn't understand the complexities of what's going on. And other people might try to tell her like, well, we can't do that. And she might go, well, that's necessary. We really need to do that, you know? So in the same way of what Goa was saying last episode, like, oh, we need to simplify, like Akane, the Princess Saya, right? We need to simplify her motivations because she can't have a complex motivations and also share enough screen time with the other people and also have her character make sense to the audience and blah, 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 like all this stuff. So we need to make her a more one-dimensional character so the other three-dimensional characters can shine more, and so that the actual themes of the story and the story can come through to the audience properly. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I think it's so interesting that this show is tackling all of that. I love it. I'm really, really loving this already. Like, this is episode 2 of the season, and I've been discussing for a while, and I'm stopping my discussion here, but just so you know, I could have talked about this for 20 more minutes. Easily. But I'm going to stop it here. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel, and go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. I will see you next time. Goodbye.